Interstate 84. Yeah. Specifically, Western Interstate 84. More specifically, Interstate 84 in Idaho and Utah. As you may have seen last week, we talked about I-84 in Oregon, and it's quite a trip. Idaho and Utah are pretty cool as well. Alright, let's take a look at the map of the whole thing as we see 84 goes from Portland, Oregon to just a little bit beyond Ogden, Utah, and vice versa. And today we're going to be talking about the Idaho and Utah portions of it. You're watching Control City Freak. This is the YouTube channel where we talk about interstate highways and the places that they're signed to go to. If you dig this kind of content, why not give us a like? And if you really dig it, why not subscribe? Yeah, subscribe. We love that over here. Right, first we're going to talk about Eastbound I-84, and we are going to start here in Idaho. The Welcome to Idaho sign just beyond Ontario, Oregon, and just across the Snake River. So at our first exit onto I-84 in Idaho, we get Caldwell, Boise, instead of just Boise like they did in the one exit in Oregon. And I think that's okay as long as they have Boise on there. I don't care what else they have. As long as Boise's there, that's cool. 80 miles an hour out here, so that's pretty awesome. And we've got a pretty good sign here, Caldwell, Nampa, and Boise, so two of the larger Boise suburbs, sorta, and then Boise itself. Interchanges here still, we are still getting Caldwell and Boise, so that works. Once we get to Caldwell though, it is just Boise. We're not getting Nampa, Boise, or anything like that, just Boise straight up. And in Caldwell, we get a pull through here for East 84 Boise and East 84 Meridian, which is another suburb. This is in Nampa. I'm not sure why we have two different things and why it's signed this way. You could stay in the center or right lane and go to Boise just fine. Here in Boise, we are now meeting 184 for City Center and for Franklin Road, and we see 84 is signed for Twin Falls from this point, so I'm alright with that. This is a weird one though. Right after that, we get 84 Mountain Home. So I don't know why we go from Twin Falls to Mountain Home. Mountain Home's not too far from Boise, probably almost could be considered like a satellite city, so I don't agree with this here at all. And we see it is Mountain Home 30, Glens Ferry 55, Twin Falls 112. Putting both of them on here at an interchange like this is fine though, Mountain Home and Twin Falls. I do think Twin Falls is probably the right pick. There's not much to Twin Falls, but for Idaho, it is a pretty big city. And we get Mountain Home Air Force Base. Maybe that's why Mountain Home's signed, but still, I'd go with Twin Falls anyway. And Twin Falls is signed on this exit here in Mountain Home. Coming out of Mountain Home, we see now Twin Falls on the bottom line at 77 miles away. Well done here. And we'll skip ahead to Twin Falls itself. We meet US 93, signed for Twin Falls and Sun Valley. The famous Idaho ski area is just a bit north of here, Sun Valley. At that US 93 interchange, we are now signed for Pocatello, so that's a little weird. And here we see Burley, Rupert, and Pocatello. So Pocatello is not on I-84, but it is the primary control city and it is on the bottom line. So there's a split coming up. Idaho could choose either Pocatello or Salt Lake City. I feel like they have chosen wrongly, but they're choosing more in-state. Burley Paul. It's a great name for a lumberjack. Obviously, these are two different cities, Burley and Paul. Burley just to the south. I've been to Burley before. In fact, here's where I went in Burley. I went to China first with my two buddies on that road trip we had. We hadn't eaten since Laramie, Wyoming, or for my other friend since Hayes, Kansas. And we decided to go to China first. We walked in and the lady came up to us and immediately told us, "You sit down, watch TV." So we did. Nagano Olympics were on. It was cool. Here is our split with I-86. We see 86 is signed east for Pocatello, 84 east for Salt Lake. So that is excellent signage there. Salt Lake doesn't hold though. At random interchanges, we are now signed for Ogden instead of Salt Lake. Ogden is also the bottom line control city. I understand Ogden is fairly big by Utah standards and I-84 actually goes there, whereas it doesn't go to Salt Lake. But it doesn't go to Pocatello either, and they're fine with signing that on the bottom line. So I do think Salt Lake should be on the bottom line here. Sublet and Snowville are both pretty tiny, so choose one, do Sublet, Ogden, Salt Lake here. It is sparse out in these parts. There is not much around. You've got some low rolling mountains and nothing. Pretty cool to drive. Here's our last exit in Idaho, Juniper Road, and it's still quite a while before we get to Utah. Several miles with no exit at all. We get Tremonton and Ogden, so two out-of-state cities. And welcome to Utah! Alright, we've got East 84, kind of a weird sign with the green right there. Utah's kind of going a little weird here. This is our first exit in Utah, Highway 30, and we've got Salt Lake City and Elko. Wow, Highway 30 doesn't even go to Elko, nor does the highway that it becomes in Nevada. So that's quite a swing there. And here we've got Howell, Tremonton, and Ogden. Surprised they don't have Salt Lake City on that list. Now we're meeting I-15. I-15 signed north for Pocatello and south and east for Ogden and Salt Lake. Perfectly well done here. At interchanges, it is Ogden on this part of 1584. Close into Ogden, I do get that, especially once these two roads have merged, since 84 doesn't actually go to Salt Lake. And now we get 15 south Salt Lake City, and 84 is exiting for Cheyenne. Awesome signage there. I love that 84 Cheyenne. That is great. At a random interchange, we get 84 east to Cheyenne and Morgan. Awesome scenery here too as we go through 84 cutting down to I-80. Really nice views along this road. Awesome sweeping vistas here, and we see I-80 is the secondary control. Evanston now the primary. I wonder why Evanston instead of Cheyenne. Cheyenne would be the better way. But yeah, these awesome mesas or buttes or whatever they call them. Awesome looking stuff out here. Really nice. Here we get Ogden and Echo Junction. Wow, Echo Junction is just where 80 and 84 meet. There's not really much of a town there at all. I'm kind of surprised to see that signed instead of really anything on I-80. And here we meet I-80, 80 East Cheyenne, and 80 West Salt Lake City, and that will do it for I-84 going eastbound. All right, let's take a look at westbound I-84. We've seen this before. I-84 begins here at the intersection with I-80 in Echo Junction, 80 West Salt Lake, and 84 West Ogden. And I got to bring this up again, this awesome sign from alpsroads.net. We see here 80 North West for Ogden and Portland, and regular 80 West for Salt Lake and San Francisco. I wish they still had that. That's really cool. And here we have a couple small towns on the way to Ogden. Ogden 36 is the final one. That's totally fine. There is not all that much on 84 beyond Ogden, so signing Ogden like this works. This one, though, we're getting 84 signed west for Morgan, so I'm not sure why they're doing that, Morgan instead of Ogden. That's really weird. And Echo going the other way. Very strange. Tiny places. And we come back through this valley again. This is an awesome, awesome looking valley on our way toward meeting I-15 in Ogden. We meet US 89, which is actually specifically signed for Ogden, and it also has signage for 2 South 15, Salt Lake City, and we're on West 84 to North 15. Really well done here, Utah, because there is no direct intersection with 84 and southbound 15, so this is telling you how to get there. Very good. And you can see we are on 84 merging into northbound I-15 right at this point. At random intersections in Ogden, we get 1584 Salt Lake City in one direction, that's right, and Brigham City in the other way because it's the only place that they both go to, and it's fairly large by the standards of the towns we're going to be going to, so that makes sense too. This sign is just fantastic. So we get Brigham City where they're both going, 13 miles away, Pocatello where I-15 is going, and Twin Falls where I-84 is going. Just fantastic. And in Brigham City, we get North 15 Pocatello, West 84 Twin Falls. Instead of a control city for both of them, we get individual control cities for them. We get to our split, and suddenly we're on West 84 Boise instead of Twin Falls, so that's a pretty cool swing there. I like that, especially for this distant interchange. At the next exit, though, for some reason it's signed for Snowville. Snowville is population like 140 or something. Snowville is like 10 times smaller, 15 times smaller than Lyman. No way Snowville should be signed anywhere. Signing it here is okay as the next exit on a sign like this, but no reason to sign it at an interchange. And then we see Burley and Boise on the map there. Welcome to Idaho. And at this random interchange at the end of 84 in Idaho, we get Tremonton and Burley. Instead of signing bigger cities, instead of going with Twin Falls and Ogden, we get kind of the next secondary-ish, maybe tertiary control cities. And here's what it often looks like on 84 in southern Idaho. Quite sparse, not much around, open, empty roads, mountains in the background. It's pretty cool. Here we have Idaho Road, which leads to Idaho, which is just an awesomely named city. Well done there. We meet I-86 again, and it is signed East Pocatello, 84 West Twin Falls. I feel like maybe Twin Falls Boise would be the way to go, but What are you going to do? We meet Burley once again. We have another exit for Burley on our way. This is the way I was going when I went to Burley to go to China first. At the Burley exit, we see 84 signed west for Twin Falls and Boise. So well done. Twin Falls now 34 miles away. Boise becomes the bottom line control city, as well it should. Here at the Twin Falls exit for US 93, it is signed for Jerome and Boise. And then in Jerome, we get Mountain Home and Boise. So they seem to like to sign two control cities whenever they can in Idaho. So that works for me as long as they have the correct main one. Here we are getting into Metro Boise. We just get a through traffic sort of thing for West 84, West 30, no control city yet. And in fact, when we are meeting 184 here, we still don't get a control city. And this is 84's only child route, so let's take a ride down 184. So you get on a 184, you get exit 3 Fairview, exit 2 Curtis. We even get a laundry list of exits coming up before the final one at Capitol Boulevard. And we see all lanes are going to be turning right. We're going to be on Eastbound 20 and 26, which I think is Capitol Boulevard, coming into downtown Boise. And here is the stoplight where 184 ends. So we are in downtown Boise now. And this is where we get to Capitol Boulevard. So we turn left here to go toward the Capitol and to get back toward 184. So this is kind of the heart of downtown Boise. Unbelievably expensive housing if you check Boise stuff. I've only been to Boise once, and here is my picture of it. It was taken on my 19th birthday, so this would be in 1858 or so. And continuing up Capitol Boulevard, we see the Capitol in the background here, and we see if we turn left, we go 2026 west for Nampa. And I'll zoom in on the Capitol a little bit more because you'd be seeing it that way if you were driving here. And so let's go the other way, down 2026 toward 184. We get a 2 184, 284, and 2 airport here, so good signage here, makes sense. We've got an exit with 20 and 26 headed for Garden City, and the control city on 184 at this point is just 84. And we see junction I-84, 1 mile. And here we come to the 84 junction, so we get 84 west in the left lanes, Nampa, 84 west in the far right lane, Nampa, and 84 east Mountain Home in the 2 center ones. What's going on with this sign? This is so weird. Why are they doing it this way? Why is it Nampa and Mountain Home? Why not Twin Falls going the other way like they had it? Nampa's a suburb. Should be Portland at this point. Portland, Seattle, in fact. So here we are in the thriving suburb of Nampa, growing quickly there, and West 84 now for Caldwell, which again is sort of Boise suburbia, and also in the left lane, Ontario. They're doing this weird left lane thing again. So if you're gonna do Caldwell, that's fine, but then the other one shouldn't be Ontario. It should be Portland, Seattle. And we see, like in, I believe, Caldwell, the exits do say for Portland, Ontario, Portland here for 84. Now we get Ontario 26 because there isn't really much in Idaho for the rest of the way through Idaho. And Baker City 100. If you're going to sign a second Oregon city beyond Ontario, Portland. And we see at interchanges it is Ontario signed here. So again, Ontario, Oregon. And now we cross the Snake River once again on our way back into Oregon. And welcome to Oregon. We've been to this part before, so we will continue on to Todd's The Way It Should Be. So let's take a look at Todd's The Way It Should Be for all of I-84 at this point. I'm going to say Eastbound, the Dalles, and Boise, and then just Boise. And from Boise, I would say Twin Falls, and then from Twin Falls, Pocatello / Salt Lake City. I feel like they should be dually signing that instead of just Pocatello. And then Salt Lake City by itself, and then Cheyenne once you get off of I-15. Westbound, I would say Ogden for sure, all the way, Ogden. And then Pocatello, Boise, once you meet I-15. Doing the Brigham City thing like they do is fine, but then Pocatello, Boise like they do. Then I'd go just Boise. I feel like Twin Falls is probably less of a draw for people coming from Utah toward Idaho. I feel like Boise would do the job. And then Portland, Seattle from Boise until I-82, and then finally just Portland. Alright, thanks for watching this. I hope you've enjoyed my 2-episode look at I-84. I certainly have. It's a really awesome road. I haven't been on it in so long. I really hope to do it again soon. It is fantastic, as you can see. And next week we'll be looking at a less scenic but quite important I-84. So until then, my name is Todd, and keep on trucking.